Good Monday afternoon, evening to you, my friends, wherever you are. So I have a rare Monday afternoon where I had some time and I wanted to make a video. And I want to talk to you about some things I've been thinking a lot about. I'm going to talk even further about a lot of these things. We're going to go more into depth on this subject for a while now. By the way, just in case you didn't know, let me get this up here. In case you didn't know, the astrology certification course has not only gone live, but we've got people who have been certified now. So if you want a Vedic astrology reading from me where you can find out what I think is the most important thing in Vedic astrology, which very few Vedic astrologers talk about in depth, which is your reflection or your projection. It's absolutely necessary for your success in life, success in career, and success personally. And you need to know what that is. And if you want to find out which planets are working for you, which energies are working for you, and if you want to have a mantra and a ritual that is tailored specifically for you based on your Vedic astrological chart, go here to astrology.thunderwizard.com and save $100, taking $100 off the normal price, and you can get a reading from one of my new certified Vedic astrologer apprentices who have been trained in my method of Vedic astrology and will give you the same kind of reading that I will give. So go there to astrology.thunderwizard.com and you can get a reading for that. So what we're going to talk about for a while, I mean, I will talk about other things, but this is something I'm going to spend some time on and talk about for the foreseeable future, which is, what is it that you need to do to end the cycle of reincarnation? This is one of the biggest questions that I get asked, and what I haven't shared with you is that there is a technique to do it. And the reason why I haven't shared it yet is because I haven't been ready to share it. The other thing is that there's a pitfall in this conversation. That when people start talking about wanting to end the cycle of reincarnation, the majority of people, in my experience, who are really interested and want to do this and seek this out are people who are actually just trying to escape their own pain, their own fear. Some people are very clear about that. They hate this life. This life is misery to them. And they can't stand it here, and they want to leave, and they want to exit the matrix. They feel as though they live in a computer program. They feel that there are beings and entities, both real and spiritual, that are keeping them trapped in this physical world which is full of pain and misery, and so they want out. Problem with that is that people who operate from that level of desperation are pretty much guaranteed to come back, because if you seek to end reincarnation out of fear or out of a desire to escape your pain or your feelings, then the only thing that ends up happening is that you unconsciously bring yourself back. So that's the pitfall in this. So what I've been focusing on for a very long time is that the only way to escape reincarnation is to fulfill all of your desires. So that starts with embracing this life and enjoying this life. If you do not feel you're capable of enjoying this life, then you're trapped in what I would call a fear-based loop in the matrix. You're trapped in a fear-based loop and you can't get out of it. And anybody who knows me knows that I am no stranger to physical and emotional pain. And I may not have gone through exactly what you've gone through, but I have certainly had my own difficulties emotionally psychologically. I've had physical issues. Um, and I am of a completely different mindset than I was when I was younger. When I was in my 20s, I wanted out. And one of the things that got me so deep into powerful spiritual practices was my desire to escape and achieve immortality. What people now call escaping the Matrix. Back then, the Matrix movie hadn't been made, so nobody used that word. So people are using it now, but it's the same thing, and it doesn't matter whether you're talking about wanting to escape reincarnation or wanting to escape the Matrix, it's the same thing. And then I began to learn as a result of doing these high-level practices that you had to be initiated into. You had to get permission, and only, in fact, I wasn't allowed to tell anybody about the things that I was doing, the things that I was learning. And I've since decided to break that command, and I tell people, and there are things that I have on my YouTube channel that I teach for free that are things that would, under other circumstances, be forbidden knowledge. Not only would you not be allowed to share it, but you certainly wouldn't be allowed to share it for free on the internet for everybody. And they're in there. And I tell people, if you have the destiny to find those practices and you practice them, then you can achieve whatever it is you want to achieve spiritually. So they're there. But it is also true that people need to be trained. And so what I'm embarking on doing now is I'm creating another teaching series about exactly what we're talking about, which is to become an ascended master and to give you the tools to achieve it in this lifetime, if that is your desire and if that is your destiny. So if you want to take control of that, there is a technique that you can use to do that. Having said that, it does take discipline, it does take time, and if you're looking for a quick fix, unfortunately I can't give that to you, but I can give you the quick path to power, to spiritual power. And I've already got a lot of things out there. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going in depth and taking all of those, I've said that there are some secret, what they're not secret now, but they were secret spiritual practices and techniques that I have on my free YouTube channel. And there are things that I teach on the thunderwizard.com site for subscribers. And the idea is I wanted to give people all of the resources, and if they had the discipline, and if they had the desire, and if they had the patience, that they could do what I did, which was to research and practice these things and listen to your instincts and listen to the ascended masters. And if you were meant to find the path to that, you would. What I'm finding is that people, there are some that I've, that followed that are in fact that disciplined and patient and persistent. But for most Westerners, they lose patience quickly. They do not have a lot of discipline, and that's not their fault. They haven't been taught to have discipline. There's a lot of Western seekers, especially younger ones. This was true when I was younger too. It just happens to be one of the pitfalls of youth, that feel entitled, and they want things to happen right now, and they want immediate results. And if it takes, what people now call research, which when most people throw the word out, research out, they don't know what they're talking about. But when it comes to actually doing the research, there's just this this fallout factor, that you lose a lot of people because they just don't have the discipline. But more importantly, they don't have somebody to guide them step by step, which is the way things were done in the old days. I mean, way back when, what would happen is a spiritual master would take on a maximum of 2 apprentices. And he would teach 2 apprentices in case one of them died, because, way back when people died for, disease and warfare and all kinds of stuff. But he had to make sure that he gave all of his knowledge to at least one person. And the time for that has changed. We are moving into a new period now. And so the universe and our world has entered a state of dynamic transformation. I've been saying for years that this time is coming. There's going to be a shift that's coming, and you need to be prepared for it. Well, that shift is here. That shift has arrived. It doesn't mean it's going to shift in 24 hours. It may take months or years or decades, but the shift is here. And what needs to happen now is, in order for the human race to evolve through this shift, they need access to these techniques. So I'm going to be sharing with you not just one technique, but I'm going to be sharing with you a whole pathway to prepare yourself and to prepare your body and your energy body specifically for this one technique that I'm going to teach, which has to do with what's called unifying the three ones. The three ones are the three main energy centers of the body. They represent the three areas of the mind: the conscious, the unconscious, and the subconscious. Represents the soul, the higher self, and the lower self, the physical energy body. And what a true master is somebody who has refined all of this energy and has united these three energies. And the first level of mastery is that you're able to intend your reality. So this is one of the reasons why I really give people a hard time who want to adopt a victim mentality. People who believe that they are trapped in this matrix. As long as you have that belief system, you will never achieve mastery, and you will never escape the matrix, nor will you ever achieve enlightenment or end the reincarnation cycle. The reincarnation cycle ends when you don't care whether you come back or not. Obviously, you can't have that mindset if you're full of fear, or if you feel as though you are in hell. And I'm not saying this to minimize anybody's difficulties or pain. As I've said, I have had my share of it. Probably more than many of you who are listening. Certainly not more than some. There are some that have experienced more than I have in this lifetime. And I'm not trying to compete. We all have our own level of what we can handle. And I can say that I have experienced the maximum of what I can handle in terms of pain. And I'm here telling you that I love this life. I love living on Earth. I have no desire to leave right now. I'm having too much fun. Whether or not that means I've achieved enlightenment, I can't say. I'm not banking on that. But what I can say is that that is definitely going to be something that people who achieve immortality, who do not reincarnate, when they die, they will have that mindset of, I don't care whether I come back or not. I don't have any regrets. I enjoyed this life. I think this is a beautiful place to live, and it's a very special, sacred place to live. When somebody has that mindset, then the universe says, great, what do you want to do next? If, however, when you leave this lifetime, you have regrets, you have resentments, you feel trapped, you have misery, you have, if there's anything you look back on in life and you have any kind of second thoughts or regrets about it, if you feel that people have harmed you, if you feel that you are less than, if you have any fear, then what happens is after you physically die, your soul wakes up from that dream and goes, I didn't get it. There was that thing that I wanted and I didn't get it. I gotta do it again. And so you come back. So what you need to understand is that when it comes to reincarnation, you choose to come back. If you have any other belief system that somebody else makes the decision for you, then you are guaranteed to come back. So if if that really truly is your desire, that you don't want to come back to this human life, then the first thing that you need to do is adopt the mindset that you chose to come here and that you can choose to not come back. So that's the first thing. So what I say is you got to get rid of the victim mentality. You know, I get comments all the time on my videos, people asking questions, and I won't share the person's name, but somebody just recently commented on one of my videos and said, and this is somebody who professes to be a shaman, and this person said, I don't understand how you can choose to come back knowing that there are these corporations and big business who are destroying the planet. And my response was, I don't understand. What do you mean you can't come back because of that? Why not come back because you want to save the earth? You want to help the earth? And we went into a back and forth thing, and I suggested that this person was suffering from a victim mentality, and that there was a very strong reaction to that, saying that this person did not have a victim mentality, and not only that, that there are real victims out there. So what you're seeing here is what we call projection. This person is projecting onto other people their feeling of being a victim. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't tragedies and that there aren't things that people go through that we could legitimately say they are a victim of violence, of war, of all kinds of illness, all kinds of things. But for somebody to not want to come back because they're afraid they can't go up against the government, corporations, God, the devil, this is a victim mentality. And you know, the thing is that there's always been challenges to human life. There's always been challenges to freedom. There's always been some kind of challenge to the human existence. And, you know, every generation has it. You know, in my parents' generation, it was fascism, Nazis, World War II. And when I was growing up, it was communism. It was the Russians and the Chinese, and they were going to destroy the world, and nuclear war was going to destroy the world. And now we have those things as well as the very real possibility of climate change and global warming and destruction of habitat and loss of animals, and what this person mentioned, the very real scenario that we have big giant corporations and big businesses, and if you want to call them the elite, who have the potential to cause tremendous damage to not only society but the world and Mother Earth herself. There's nothing new in any of this. It's just it takes a different form. And I'm not even saying that there isn't a possibility we could destroy this planet. There's a very real possibility of that. But to decide that you don't want to come back because of fear of that shows that you don't understand who you are. And what I want to share with you, this is extremely important to understand. When it comes to becoming an ascended master, it is your destiny to become an ascended master. It is your destiny to avoid reincarnation, to stop the cycle. It's not a question of if it will happen. It's just a question of when. So if you're really serious about ending the cycle of reincarnation, I'm finally going to share with you the other way to do that. So I will be taking questions today if you have them. If you're new to the channel, here's how it works. For the live Q&A, if you're watching this live, then you need to ask me a question. The way you do that is you write question in all caps so that I can see it. And then you ask a well thought out, well formulated question. I will not respond to a nonsense question, and I won't respond to your question if you haven't been able to write it out in, at least some kind of readable English. If you don't write question, then I'm going to assume you are just somebody who wants to put out a comment or spout your opinion, and I will ignore that. The less that you comment, the less that you write on the Q&A, the better chance I can see your question. Lots of times I miss people's questions because I am scrolling past everybody spouting their opinion and talking to each other. So you're free to do that. I can't stop that. But to get the most out of it, the less that you write, unless it's a question, the better it is for me to be able to help you. And that's what I'm here to do. Okay. So we're going to take a short break, and I'll take any questions that you have, and we'll talk more about what it is to end the cycle of reincarnation, what it is to become an ascended master, and we'll talk generally about the steps to do that. So I'll see you in about a minute and a half. So I want you to take a look at the picture that I just showed you there. First, let me describe why I want you to look at this picture. I found this. I wish I could say that I created it. I didn't. Perhaps I did, and somebody, actually drew it for me. This picture really exemplifies what I believe an ascended master is. First off, when you look at the picture, you're going to see that the individual has, actually, maybe I can put it on here and talk about it at the same time. I think I can, actually. Yes, I can. So let's do that. Very good. All right, so here's what is going to happen. Okay, so let me fix that. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Let's see if I got it right here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so if you notice here, there's this picture up here in the corner right there. And this picture to me shows what I believe not only an ascended master is, but what the function of an ascended master is. So you see that the individual there has all of their three centers lit up. Like I said, I don't know if you could hear me or not because I'm playing around with my stuff here. But if somebody gave me the ability, I don't have those kinds of artistic abilities that I'm aware of. But if somebody gave me that ability and said, I want you to draw what an ascended master looks like, this would be what I would create. So somebody was tapping into either me or the same idea. You can see the three centers, the upper, the middle, and the lower centers are all firing in this individual. And then this individual has in their hands an earth that they are creating with their hands, with their intention. They are intending what I believe to be the ideal earth. And then in front of them is the actual earth itself. And they're taking their intention and infusing it into the earth that is there. Now, in that earth, there are a bunch of other human beings who are ascended masters in training. You are all ascended masters in training. There's a whole earth filled with ascended masters in training who have their own free will, and a lot of them have their mistaken understandings, and that's what we're here for. We're here to learn. So you have to make mistakes. It's the one thing you can guarantee that you will do, and it's the one thing that has to happen in order to become an ascended master. You got to make a bunch of mistakes, because that's how you're going to learn. But here, this person is intending their perfect reality and influencing the rest of, the ascended masters in training who are here in physical bodies on earth, influencing them. This is your destiny. Yep. This is your destiny. So if you're wanting to achieve enlightenment, if that's what you think is most important, if you are desperate to exit this world and to be free of pain and misery, know that it will happen. It's just a question of when. It may not be this lifetime. There are ways to achieve it in one lifetime if that's what you're destined for. But we can do this right now in our own lives. It's not necessarily going to happen like that, and it's not necessarily going to happen without a lot of challenge. But the main thing that you're going to have to do first and foremost is you're going to have to drop all victim mentality, which means you're going to have to take full responsibility for your entire existence, both in this lifetime and previous lifetimes. What I didn't mention about the person who had commented, what I didn't say to that person was, if there are corporations and governments and things like that that are destroying your planet and your food, it is because you have created them. And that may be hard for us to accept, but if in your reality and I'm not saying it's not real, but if in your reality there are entities and corporations, evil corporations that are destroying and victimizing the planet and victimizing your health, it is because you have intended that on an unconscious level. I recommend everybody go see a movie. I don't know where you can find it. I don't know if you can probably look for it. You can probably stream it somewhere. It's called The Sphere. The Sphere. Sphere. Let me write it down here for you. And it's, I think it's a Michael Crichton book that was made into a movie. Stars, some big stars in there. Go see that movie. That is if you want to see a movie that shows you the true nature of your ability and why we don't intend our realities more, that movie will tell you. So that is the first thing you need to understand, because if you can accept the idea that you have created everything in your reality, then you can learn how to intend your perfect reality. Until you take responsibility, you won't be able to do that. And so that means you can't blame anybody for anything. Doesn't mean that I'm not trying to minimize anything that has happened to you. There may have been people who have harmed you, who have caused you pain. I'm certainly not going to say that's impossible, because I've experienced it myself. But it doesn't change the fact that you are responsible. If you accept that, then you can learn. If you can't accept that, it doesn't matter. I could hand you the key, the one technique that will give you the power to end your cycles of reincarnation, and you wouldn't either you wouldn't be able to accept it, or you wouldn't be able to follow through and do it. Okay? So I'm going to take some questions here, but I'm going to look. There were some comments here that I'm going to do something I don't do very often, which is I'm going to respond to people's comments. So Lucy Lemons, I don't know if you're still on there. You've probably seen that your statement didn't make it on, and that's because it automatically screens for any kind of spam. And so this person is saying that you should go to her channel. So that's it's not going to work. Don't come onto my channel and spam your channel. I wouldn't do that to you. So, anytime it screens for vulgarity and for spam, and it gets rid of it. So I'm going to tell it to continue to do that. Let's see here. Yes, I think we got a full moon scenario going on. Angie Chia has a question. She says, is there a divine loving, and in all caps, God? So I don't know, why are you asking me that? I'm assuming you're new to my channel, because if you have watched my channels for a while, then you would know that that's not the kind of question to ask me. The short answer to your question is that yes, and it is you. Your soul is infinite, divine. It is if you want to worship the one true God, it is your soul. And as such, like I said, you have the ability to intend and create your reality, which not only do you have the ability to do that, you are already doing that. So the question is whether or not you are doing it consciously or unconsciously. If you are complaining about your life because you feel that you are victimized or you are in misery, it is because you are unconsciously creating your existence out of a chaotic connection between your three selves. If you have taken responsibility and perhaps done some spiritual work, then you've united these three selves and you can create your reality. Okay? All right, let's see if there's anything else that I want to respond to here. Question, Jedi Black Knight. Do you have actual videos on the powerful 3-1s method you mentioned earlier? I have not made a video on the 3-1s method yet. I am in the process of making them. So in order to understand how this is going to work, I'm not just going to give you the one meditation to do that. It would be irresponsible of me to do that. Because again, it's one of those things that if you're not prepared mentally, emotionally, and especially energetically, then it will be a waste. This is one of the reasons why these things were kept secret. So how I'm going to be putting this together is I'm making some videos, which will be a separate series. It will dovetail with this channel and with the Thunder Wizard subscription channel. And I will be talking about it on all three venues. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be giving a specific layout to tell people which practices to do first. And so I won't have to. I've already put the majority of the practices out there, some of them free, some of them not. But I'm going to be talking about them, and then I'll be giving people direct links to the videos and when to do them, in what order, and how long, and all of that. So it's going to be, it's going to be a process, and I haven't decided how long it's going to take for people to go through the process to get that final thing. But the people who aren't willing to go through that, I won't give them that, because it's, you say you want to become. I'm not talking about you specifically, Jedi Black Knight, but if somebody says that they want to become an ascended master, that they want freedom from this world, that they want the ability to intend their reality, they've got to be willing to do the work. And if they're not, then it won't matter what I give them. So it's going to be a process. But the good news is that I'm going to be putting it in order and telling you what exercises that I've already put out there, what to do, for how long, in what order. Okay? All right. So, John Glenn, remote view this question. Your energy seems different from about a few weeks ago. Well, I don't know what you were seeing a few weeks ago. I sometimes am affected by what the planets are doing. Sometimes I choose to do things in a certain way, and a few weeks ago I was making the choice to communicate in a specific fashion. So I'm feeling differently now. I don't know that there's any different. There isn't any major thing that's happened to me. since then. But if it's helpful for you to see me as being more positive, then I'm happy that I can do that for you. Let's see. Jamie Sweet, question. I've been watching you for a time now. Even had my Vedic chart done. I hear you say European ancestry. Is this teaching just for Europeans? No. This is for human beings. And the truth is that my European teachings are specifically designed to bring the European people back into the family of traditional spiritual practices. It's the only reason I do it. I do it to honor my ancestors. I do it to fulfill my own DNA within me. I think it's important. I'm not going to say it's necessary, because long before I was looking into my own ancestral spiritual practice, I was learning from multiple sources. And what's most important here is that these were teachings that have an unbroken connection into prehistory. I have never been trained by a Native American, so I can't, nor would I, talk about that, because I have no formal training in that. I know the only things I know about Native American spirituality is what's available, and most of it is wrong. So, but I've trained with Africans, and I've trained with people who are masters of multiple East Indian practices, which I see as a sister practice to the Europeans, because the Indo-Europeans, even though you have Indo-Europeans of multiple racial backgrounds, which is important to understand, race is something that happens over time as a result of being in different, weather patterns. I have white skin and light eyes for one reason. My black-skinned African ancestors who got to Europe 50,000 years ago lived in Ice Age conditions for 40,000 years. And as a result of that, their bodies adapted to be able to get more vitamin D3. It's the only reason. And everybody else, East Asians have their own process that they went through, and Native Americans and everybody. We're all at the core of it. Well, we're all Africans if you go back, a few tens of thousands of years. So this is going to be for everybody. This is a process, and one of the things I'm doing is I'm taking it directly from a practice that I practiced in, which was in the Taoist, but I'm taking it out of that cultural framework, and I'm doing this with the permission of my guides and with the guidance of my guides, to give it to modern day people in the modern world. And as we know, we live in a multicultural society, so this is for everybody. Original source energy question. Why should I care whether I have to come back one time or a billion times? Is that an honest question? You're not asking me a question. You're making a statement. And I get your statement is that you're saying it doesn't matter, and you're agreeing with me, but that's not a question. And then you ask, is that even for me to decide while I'm in a human body? My answer to you is I don't care. If you don't want to decide, you don't have to. That's the whole point. This is for people who want to do this. There are people who want to escape reincarnation. And so for that, I'm going to be sharing a technique for them to do that. But what's interesting to know is that there are two main ways to escape reincarnation. The first one is you have to fulfill all of your desires. The reason why we incarnate is because the soul has a desire, and it wants to come into this video game called Earth. I love being in this, I love this planet. But I only love it if I can connect to nature. For me, the most dynamic and empowering nature for me is the ocean. It's just, a place where there's waves. And luckily I live in a place where there's waves every day. Just about every day of the year I can take my surfboard out and go surfing. And the animals in the ocean and the energy of the ocean and the sky, to me, when I look at the ocean, I see nothing but freedom. And the energy that it gives me, there's all kinds of health benefits that I get from that. So if I were stuck in the city, it would be miserable for me, and I would not want to come back. Whenever I drive through LA to go be with my group of people that I work with, who I go to for advice, every time I drive through there, I ask myself, why do people choose to live here? Why? If I just go a few miles in that direction, not even a few miles, a couple miles east, I'm in. Why do people want it? Why would people choose to live this way? I don't get it. So it's okay with me if you don't want to decide to come back or not. This is for people who want to know how to escape. So first way is you got to fulfill all of your desires. I know that I came here because, among other things, I wanted to focus my life on being in the ocean and surfing. When I get tired of that, if my soul ever gets completely fulfilled, then it will either find something else that it wants to experience in this dimension, this earthly dimension. And when it's done, it'll go, I can't think of anything else I want to do. And at that point, it will be able to move on. So if you've reincarnated, it's because you've chosen to, because there's something that you want to experience. If you're experiencing misery in this life, it's either because you have chosen to learn some challenging lessons about the importance of life and what's important about your soul, and or you are living out of integrity. You have made choices out of fear, and you have adopted some false beliefs about who you are and what the nature of the universe is, and you are making choices out of fear or in order to please others or to get the love and acceptance of others, and you are miserable. And because you've adopted false beliefs about your ability to control your reality, you think you're trapped and you think you're miserable, and so you don't want to reincarnate and you want out. I'm not talking about you specifically, original source energy. I mean, whoever's listening. So, is it for you to decide while you're in the human body? Absolutely. That's the whole reason you chose to incarnate, is so that you could wake up and become aware that you have complete control, so that you can be completely driven in the physical body by your soul, so that your soul has complete control over what happens in your life. That's the whole reason you incarnated. The ultimate reason, the whole reason we achieve desire. See, here's the thing. In the physical world, desire is what drives everything. So one of the problems is that when people try to avoid their desires, or they try to transcend their desires, if they're doing so out of a desire to escape, then all they're doing is they're binding themselves further to the world, because you can't, the more that you push your desires down, the stronger they become. So again, the whole point of the soul is to learn how to create. That's what it came here to learn, is to create. But the soul operates from desire. So you have these desires. I have this desire to go surfing. You don't know what it took for me to get where I am now. I live right on the beach in a, not a cheap neighborhood, in front of my favorite surfing spot. And I wanted to be able to just walk out my door and go surfing whenever I want, which is what I do. I work for myself. My business is something I've created. I have complete control over not only how much I work, but when I work. Nobody, I don't work for anybody. It took me a long time to be able to create that. If you were to talk to me 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it would have been something that I thought was impossible. So I've achieved some measure of what I say is necessary. I'm obviously not done, because I'm still here. And so that's the next question, is what do I want to create for myself next? But again, as you look at this picture right here of this person, this to me is an ascended master. And that's somebody who's already accomplished everything in terms of manifesting their desires on this planet Earth. And now they've done that, now they don't need to incarnate, but it is also our destiny to be what my ancestors called an elf, which is an ascended master. It means the shining one. A human being who no longer needs to reincarnate and now spends the bulk of their energy helping and guiding humans that are still here learning. What happens after this, I don't know. But that's sort of like this right here is doctoral PhD training in the human soul. They're getting their PhD. And when they get their PhD and they're done, then they're going to move on somewhere else. This is all a school. The whole thing is a school. And the only thing, what I was saying earlier, is that if you don't have a carrot in front of you, which we perceive as a desire that we can fulfill, if we don't have that in front of us, then we are not motivated to do the training while in the physical body. So the universe is very ingenious, because the soul, when the soul is in between lives and the soul is out of the body, it has no desires because it's connected. I don't know if you've ever experienced it. I've experienced it once in my life. There was one point in my life when I was a child where I left my body and I went to the source. I called it Jesus back then because I was a Christian. But what I know now is that I was experiencing the source of the universe, which is me, my soul. That's what I was experiencing. So if you've ever experienced that, you know the joy that is. I mean, there's no words I can give to you what that was like, to be completely encompassed by that light. And the pain, because then I had to come back into my body. And by the way, this wasn't through any kind of chemicals or anything like that. But when I was being brought back into my body, I was so sad as I saw that light moving further and further away, and I was being pulled back into my body. I was so sad to not be there anymore. But if we're in that state of, our true soul essence, there are no desires. There's nothing. There's nothing but bliss. So the soul has no motivation in its natural state to learn anything. And so we have to come into three-dimensional reality. And what provides us motivation is joy. The lesson of life is to learn to choose between what is safe and what brings you true joy. When you go after what brings you true joy, you will have to face making very difficult decisions about, do I want to be in that relationship? Do I want to follow that job? Do I want to please those people? Do I want money? Do I want safety? Or do I want happiness? And when you choose that you want happiness, if you've been wrapped up in attachments of other people, of being safe, then you will have a very challenging time. And this is where the misery comes in. People who are in misery are people who have chosen safety. They want money, or they want physical safety, or they want the love and approval of people, or the love and approval of people who abuse them. And they've chosen that over what their soul wants. And the conflict between the soul and the human part of our psychology that goes after the safety, the animal part of us, that conflict is what causes the misery. It's what causes all disease. And so, as I say in the book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life, there's only one commandment, and that is to follow your true joy. And many of you listening to me probably don't know what your joy is. And I know somebody's in conflict when I ask them if, in a fantasy world, you could do anything you wanted and you didn't have to meet anybody's approval or worry about having money, what would you do? If their response is, I don't know, that tells me that they are in conflict with their own soul. And that's why you're miserable, right? So I don't know if I answered your question or not, but why should you care whether you have to come back? You don't have to care. You will eventually achieve all of your your desires and you will become an ascended master. Why not just enjoy it? If that's what you want to do, go right ahead. Let's see here. Okay, so people giving out their own opinions. Let me see. I want to make sure that I don't miss anybody. Let's see, that's the problem. If everybody puts their stuff out, then I miss people's questions. Question, Sirius B. If you intend your reality completely, what do you mean completely? You're always intending your reality completely, all the time. The question is whether or not it's coming out of your unconscious mind or whether you're doing it consciously. That's the only difference. But you've completely manifested your reality. So you can't partially manifest. Does that mean you believe you made your girlfriend die? What a stupid question. I mean, seriously, think about that question for just a second. You're asking me if I intended to kill my girlfriend? We are all independent. So she is not, the universe is like a screen. It's like, it's, you know, the closest thing. It's a three-dimensional screen. And it's made up of life force energy. And it responds to your intentions. She is a soul. She has her own life. She has her own destiny. I cannot impose my will on her unless she allows that, of course. But no, there may have been a choice that was made by me. I'm certain there was. There must have been a soul contract between she and I. Because obviously we wouldn't have met up and things wouldn't have worked out. And there was obviously things I wanted to learn as a result of that. So in that sense, I have to take some responsibility. But, you know, I mean, your question is kind of childish. You know, that assumes that I have the power to give her life and death. So again, people, think through your questions before you ask them. If you had just thought about that a little bit, I think you would have known what the answer to that was. Question. Okay, let's see. Impressive human. Well, I'm impressed. Question. Please explain Merkaba. Why would you think that I know anything about Merkaba? Where in any of my videos on my channel have I ever mentioned Merkaba? So that's a teaching. You must be new to the channel, or otherwise you would know that I don't teach anything about the Merkaba. I have nothing against it. It's just not something that I'm trained in. So I can't answer your question. Dimitri wants to ask a question, but he didn't put question on there. What exercise can I use to open the third eye? The most powerful exercise you can use to open your third eye is to be mature. To be emotionally mature. Other than that, you're new to my channel, please go onto my channel and binge watch the channel. I've got multiple practices on there that will open your third eye. The Huul breath, H-U-U-L breath. This is the staple practice of my teaching. If you can master that, everything will open, not just your third eye. But you're going to have to put the time and effort to be able to make that happen. Okay, let's see if there's a Ryan Coyne question. Does astral projection have anything to do with escaping reincarnation? I don't know why you're asking that question. Astral projection is something that happens. I mean, why are you asking that? It's important to be able to ask yourself these questions, because this is the first thing that I ask. When I look at somebody's question, the first place my mind goes to is, why are they asking that question? What is it that they want? So are you asking me that because you are wanting to escape reincarnation, and so you hope that by doing astral projection you'll be able to do that? Your reasons for asking something, your reasons for doing something are far more important than anything else. If I were to say to you, yes, astral projection will help you escape reincarnation, I may be doing you a disservice if your desire to escape reality or escape reincarnation is coming from fear. Because then you're astral projecting out of fear. And then it doesn't matter. The astral plane is no different than the physical plane. It's just another plane of existence. And you can get trapped in the astral projection just as easily as you can in the physical. So it has no more or less to do with escaping reincarnation than anything else. What you can do, and what every human being here needs to do, is to learn how to become emotionally mature. And for that, you don't need astral projection. Okay. All right, let's see here. Joshua back. So Romney on Germany, yeah, I'm not going to respond to your, it's frustrating to me when I see people who don't seem to want to choose to be happy. It's frustrating to me. Maybe that's my limitation. I start to lose patience with that. I'm having a harder time to have empathy for people who choose to be unhappy. When somebody's bad relationship, bad job, bad life experience, and there are things they can do to change their existence and they choose not to. It's hard for me to have empathy for them, especially if they continue to complain about it. It doesn't mean that I don't empathize with the difficulty and the challenges involved in changing that. But until you're willing to let go of things that don't serve you, there's nothing I or anybody else can do for you. So it makes it difficult. This next thing that we're going to be doing, this next series, which will be about unifying the three ones and giving you the ability to intend your reality and to escape reincarnation, is going to demand ruthlessness on your part. To be able to make the decision. If something in your life isn't serving you, you have to get rid of it. If there's something in your life that you need that will serve you, you have to choose to go after it. If you're not willing to do that, it won't matter what I teach you. And so I am going to be setting things up so that people will I'm not going to be giving you things that aren't valuable. First off, I'm going to be telling you how to prepare your physical body for the energy. Then I'm going to be guiding you through all of the exercises you need to get your energy body empowered. And then I'm going to be teaching you how to work with the three ones. And then I'm going to teach you the meditation, the technique. But if you don't have the ruthlessness to go after what you need, you won't get past the first level. So, just giving you guys a fair warning. This isn't buy this pill. If I wanted to be a cult leader, I could. I would know exactly what to say. I would know exactly how to manipulate people's energies, give them certain practices and manipulate their energy, and then I would know exactly how to do that. And if you want that, if you want the easy path, if you want somebody to give you what you want to hear, to placate your fear and your, the normal human laziness, there are more than enough people out there to give you what you want. I'm not going to do that. So if you really want the real thing, stick around. Okay, let's see, what else do we got here? Joshua backing question. Really trying to connect to my ancestors via journeying, and I have a place I go to and met my wolf in the past, but it feels empty whenever I go with this intention. Any tips? For what? So it sounds like you're having success in terms of your journey. It sounds like you're having an experience and you believe it's a real connection to the past and things are really happening. So it sounds like you're doing everything you need to do, but it feels empty. What tips you want me to give you tips so it doesn't feel empty? I don't know how to do that. And I would have to talk with you more to find out why it feels empty to you. So I can't help you with that. I would need more information. This is why people work with me personally, because it's just pretty close to impossible in a few sentences or by email to answer questions. By the way, people email me all the time and give me these paragraphs of their life story, and they want to ask me some questions, and I end up always telling them, you have two choices. You could get a private session with me, which is career.thunderwizard.com, or you can go on to the YouTube channel and type in questions, and then everybody, if you want me to answer in-depth questions for free, I'm only going to do that if everybody else can benefit from it. So don't email me wanting to get a personal connection with me if you're not willing to either pay me for my time or have everybody else participate in your question, because there's just too many people. I can't. If I did that, I'd just be answering free emails all day long. I don't want to do that. Let's see what's going on here. All right, let's see here. Question, Emerson's Coffee, Bike, and Rum Shop. Question, what role does Spider Woman, Star People, and the Moon have in ending our cycle of reincarnation and becoming ascended masters? What role do they play? They play the same role that any other entity plays. They the ascended, the celestial gods, the gods are not human. So I'm going to say something that's going to sound blasphemous, but the gods are not human. The closest, there might be an exception when it comes to Odin. Odin may, even though I don't think he was a physical human, he went through the same kinds of things that humans go through, which is why worshiping Odin is helpful for spiritual evolution, because he represents the ultimate goal of being one with everything. Wo Den means he who is consumed with the ecstasy of shamanic awareness, the ecstasy of enlightenment. It's translated as rage, but it's not the kind of rage of anger. It's the kind of being wrapped up in the intensity of all existence. Wo Den, he who is consumed with his own awareness. But the rest of the gods, they aren't human. They're part of this universe. And they look upon human beings with awe. And you worship in them what is the highest within yourself. But the truth is that when you align yourself with the celestial masters, the gods, and you worship them, they serve you. They are dedicated to helping you achieve awareness. And that's why we worship them. We're really worshiping those aspects within ourselves. So to answer your question, I mean, specifically, what did they, I haven't worked with Spider Woman, so I don't know what lessons she gives. The Star People would be the celestial gods. In my, if you may have a different definition than I do. The Moon is the mind. The Moon is Man. Human beings are Man. Man. Man means mind. It means our ancestors gave themselves the term Man. Human, by the way. Man means both male and female. It doesn't just mean masculine. It meant both male and female. And it means that human beings are the divine mind in human flesh. We reflect the spirit. We're the only beings in the universe that do that in physical form. And so the moon has everything to do with it, because the mind reflects the spirit. This is what meditation is. Meditation is and there's thousands of types of meditation, but meditation of any kind involves reflecting the mind, not the intellect, but the mind reflecting the light of the sun, the light of the spirit, the soul. So the mind reflects the soul. Without the mind, it's difficult for us to tap into the soul. So I don't know if I answered your question or not. Ryan asks, his message was held for review because whenever you say something offensive, it automatically gets it out. And Ryan asks if I'm going to be, I'm not going to use the word, but if I'm going to be difficult, if I'm going to do things in a way he doesn't like. And if you ask a question that makes me respond to you in a way where you think I'm being that way, it's possible. I may do that every time. And if you don't like it, there are plenty of channels to go watch. You have my permission to go somewhere else anytime you want. Okay? So probably, if I push your buttons that way, just in my answer, then I'll probably do it again. And you can either get used to it or go somewhere else. Alice and Arthur question, do you think ascended masters are incarnate here? No, fulfilling more. So it helps if you can spell things right. I know some people are on phones and all that, but seriously, in order for me to understand your question, make sure that it's spelled right with good punctuation and grammar and that sort of thing. Otherwise, I don't know what you're saying. Let me see if I can understand your question. Do you think ascended masters are incarnate here? No, fulfilling more of their soul desires. Forgive me if you covered this, I joined late. If I understand your question, you're asking me if there are any ascended masters in human form. So that sets up a dichotomy where you've got some humans that are above others, sort of like Jesus. He was God in the flesh and he was here and he was above us. I don't think there's that way. I think once somebody achieves fulfillment, then they don't come back. I don't think people incarnate, when they don't need to, just to help us poor stupid humans. Because the universe is a conservative place. It doesn't waste energy. And that would be a waste of energy. If somebody's achieved that level of awareness, then the best way they can help us is by being an ascended master, by being one of these guys, right? They can be one of these guys, and that's how they can best help us. If you haven't achieved that level, then the best thing you can do is to incarnate as a human. So I hope I answered your question. Malcolm Wolf, question, at what point does the will of another intrude upon our will for our lives? At the point you allow it to, either consciously or unconsciously. Nothing and nobody can affect you in any way unless you have allowed it. And this, I used to be an exorcist. And I know that exorcisms are real and that demons do exist and people can become possessed. And what I learned from that is the only way that somebody can become possessed is if on an unconscious level they create an energetic contract with that entity. And then they do that to avoid their own pain. And so when you're in so much pain that it's beyond your ability to tolerate, then what happens is you seek something that will divert you. So you find so being possessed by a demon sounds like a horrible thing. So that gives you an idea of how horrible that person's pain was, that on an unconscious level they would create an energetic contract with a lower being that would cause them all kinds of drama and pain and chaos. That is so intense, it diverts them from what their real pain is. And I learned this when I was doing exorcisms, that all the people that I did exorcisms on had been abused in some way by somebody. And they were in a state of not forgiving their abuser. And the only way I could get the demon to leave was to get them to forgive whoever abused them. And this was as a Christian. This was as a born-again Christian when I used to do it. I'm not a Christian anymore. So that's how. You know, the only way that anybody can control you is when you allow it, and if you have made an energetic contract either on an unconscious or a conscious level. So there are no victims. And then he gives an example, such as one willing to commit an act upon you that you have no intention of happening, like killing a spouse, etc. Well, you're making a bunch of assumptions there. In order for something like that to happen, that may have been something that you planned out in advance with your spouse before you were incarnated. Somebody asked the question about, you know, was it my intention? Did I kill my fiance who died 6 months ago? Did I kill her because everything is my creation? No, she is the one that makes the decision on whether she lives or dies or whatever. But the fact that I connected with her and fell in love with her so fast, and I knew, by the way, on the second date, I knew that she was my soulmate from thousands of lives. In fact, on our second date, and I don't remember ever doing this, I was weeping in her lap saying, I finally found you, I finally found. I'm hearing these words come out of my mouth. I was consciously going, what the hell is going on here? What's coming out of my mouth? I finally found you. I've been waiting for you for thousands of years or whatever it was. And so, and I knew, you know, from the second date, she told me that she had cancer. So I knew from the second date there was a very real possibility she might die. We worked real hard, and we made some, you know, she made some progress, and then it came back and took her life. She had the most aggressive kind of breast cancer there is, so the odds were really against us. But there's no doubt in my mind that we made a contract before we were born. We made a contract that this would happen, that we would meet, and you know, it's here for my benefit. And she learned whatever she needed to learn from me. And I can tell you without a doubt, she healed me of things on an emotional and psychological level that were debilitating me. And she, with her energy and with her love, she reset all of that. So, you know, you're giving me an example here of, well, what happens if somebody without your will comes and kills your spouse? Well, those kinds of things don't happen unless you've made some kind of arrangement before you were born. Then there are the things that happen because you're out of alignment. Now, what you just described to me does not, you know, assume somebody's out of alignment, but you know, somebody wants to become a drug dealer and wants to become a gang member, and they make that choice in this lifetime, and they go out of alignment with their soul desire, and then they're killed, you know, then that's still their choice, but that isn't something that necessarily happened beforehand. You know what I mean? So this is why it's important to understand, have a conscious awareness of your feelings and your motivations at all times. It's not easy to do, but got to do it. Okay, let me see if there are any more questions here. So Eddie Endress, if you want to ask me a question, put question in all caps. Otherwise, I miss it because you look like everybody else's comment that I have to scroll through. But I see here, let me see if you've got a question. I'm looking at it, and I doubt if there's an actual question here. Let me see this. So I also gather you're new to my channel based on what you're about to say. I appreciate this, brother. My question is, during entheogenic use, when we get to the all is self space, where this world is an illusion, what should we use this space for? So Eddie, my friend, you're new to my channel. I would recommend that you go and see the recent video I did on cannabis, marijuana, and you'll get my understanding about entheogenic use. You assume that when you are under the influence of hallucinogens that you get to the all is self space. That is an assumption. That may be your experience, that you feel that that's where you are. But that is an assumption. And it's not one that I necessarily agree with. So watch more of my videos. You'll get an idea of my thought process. I won't take up the time in this video to do that because it's a deep subject. Dimitri, if you want to ask a question, please put question. Otherwise, I will miss it. I almost missed it. Is evoking of Hindu gods possible by Western ceremonial methods? I don't know what you mean by that. It's very easy to find how to do ceremony for the Hindu gods and goddesses. It's very easy. You don't have to try and smash it into a Western ceremonial method. How to contact Shiva influence, again, what is this question? And how contact with Shiva influences reincarnation cycle of soul. Shiva has the same influence as any other deity. Question is whether or not Shiva is the right deity for you or not. So, for that, you need to go here, astrology.thunderwizard.com. When you go to astrology.thunderwizard.com, you will get an astrological reading, a Vedic astrological reading, which is the East Indian, which is what you're referring to. You get a specific mantra and ritual that is designed for you based on your chart. And by the way, it's $100 off right now. So go, if you want to save $100, go there right now. And so, you know, how does Shiva influence it? Shiva has the same influence as any other deity. The deities and mantras are all designed to help you tap into your unconscious mind. If you want to speed up the process so that you don't have to incarnate, then one of the things you have to do is you have to become conscious of all of the false beliefs and false assumptions you have in your lower self, in your unconscious mind. Because many of the choices that you make are based on programs that are programmed into your unconscious that you are not consciously aware of. So, for instance, a lot of people want to be rich and have money and be successful, and they tell themselves, I'm going to be successful, I'm going to make money, and then they keep manifesting all this poverty and chaos. It's because on an unconscious level, they have some belief, they've been programmed that either money is bad or they don't deserve money, or there's some other thing that they have some block to success on a level they're not aware of. And so the reason why you do mantra and ritual is so that you can become aware of those things and then take conscious choices. You can change your belief systems about who you are. You can change your internal programming. Then you can take action on your desire. Then you can intend your desire. And if your desire is to end reincarnation, then you're going to have to go through the same process that other people go through when they want to achieve financial success or physical health or happiness or love or anything else. You've got to be conscious of what's going on underneath your conscious awareness. That's what Vedic mantra and ritual is brilliant at doing. So let me give you an example. There's a lot of, if you type in, a mantra for love, right? And you'll find sometimes very elaborate rituals to achieve finding love, or to cast a spell, or to get married or have a kid. What you don't understand about those rituals is that those rituals aren't designed like a magic. They're not magical chants that you can just, boom, make something happen. That's not what they are. And unfortunately, the majority of people, even in India, who give out these kinds of remedies don't understand what they're dealing with. Because the only way that these remedies work is if you have an internal soul desire. Your true destiny is something that you want in the deepest recesses of your soul. And when you can become conscious of what it is you truly want, you can achieve it. Like for me, it was just a couple of years ago. It would have been impossible for me to be living where I am, even though I wanted to live right here, in exactly this place where I'm at. Right on the beach, surfing, one of the best surfing beaches in California. And to be able to just walk out my door and do it, and have the money to do it whenever I want, and to have a successful career. All of that was very difficult for me. But the reason I was able to achieve it is because I acknowledged within myself that this is what I truly want. And then I made the decision that I was going to achieve it. And I was going to achieve it in the way that I wanted to achieve it. And because that was in alignment, that desire was in alignment with my soul desire, I could manifest it. That's how it works. So if you're if you're, going back to somebody who wants to do the ritual to have, fall in love and get married, and they're doing some mantra and some ritual to, find a husband or a wife, that only works because that mantra and that ritual, what it does is it hacks into your unconscious mind and it shifts you out of your blocks so that you can achieve what your soul already wants. Now, if that person is mistaken, if that person is in conflict with their desires, and they think what they want is to be married and have kids, but when in reality their soul wants to be, so let's say, for example, a monk and live in the woods, then you could do that mantra for the rest of your life and it won't give you what you want. It won't work. The whole idea of mantra and ritual is to align you to what it is you already want and that you have come here wanting before you were born. That's what people don't understand. Even in India, a lot of people don't understand that that's what mantra is about. It's about hacking into your unconscious mind and making you conscious of what you truly want, and then giving you the ability to align yourself so that it will happen the way you want it to happen. Okay, let's see. What else do we got here? British English Skype question. Do you think souls reincarnate into the same soul groups and families? Very much so. I don't know. My family this time around, I don't think that I have a deep connection with them on a soul level. So I don't relate to them. I could be wrong about that. So I think sometimes we do. An example would be like my fiance who passed. She and I we are, if there's such a thing as twin souls, we are it. And, we did not choose to hook up in this lifetime for very long. But, on her way out, we found each other and we connected really intensely for a short period of time. And then she had other things to do. And I believe that she and I have, a very long history and we have a long future together. If we're reincarnating again, in fact, I would reincarnate just to see her again. Absolutely. So yeah, to answer your question, the short answer is yes. Okay, no more questions at the moment. Let's take a break and see if there's anything more we need to talk about. Okay, so I'm going to answer the question of how to end the cycle of reincarnation. So as I see it, there are 3 methods. First one is to achieve all of your desires. So that means you have to follow your soul desire. For that, you can go onto my channel and you can either look at the playlist for the Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. I'll put it up here for you. That is a book that I wrote. I recommend getting that book. I mean this in all sincerity. If you master what is written in that book, which is not written in any, crazy way, it's just written for the average person. If you master what's in that book, you can achieve freedom from reincarnation. And so that's the first way, is to fulfill all of your desires, and then you have to learn what it is you truly want. Second way is to become a monk or some kind of a spiritual ascetic and find a technique like the one I'm going to share with you guys eventually, which is the unification of the three ones. And if you have the destiny for that and the ability to focus your entire life on that, that is the second method. The third method is, why not do both at the same time? Because traditionally they're apart from each other. One is to transcend your desires. Again, that's a big pitfall there, because people think they're achieving enlightenment when all that's happening is that they're suppressing all of their desires, and they have to come back, and they get wrapped up in ego of, I'm more spiritual than you, and I've achieved enlightenment, and all that kind of stuff. And you're going to have to come back. What ends up happening is, I see it in people's charts. I can see it in your chart, depending on where Ketu is. If Ketu is in your 9th house or your 12th house, that tells me that in a previous lifetime you were an ascetic who was seeking enlightenment, and you mastered things like meditation and mantra and ritual, and you realize that that's not what it is. And so this time around you don't care about that. So this time around, you don't care about religion, you don't care about any of that stuff. You want to get to the truth. You just want to go straight to the truth, and you don't want any of the bullshit. So that's what you get. That's the pitfall with people who spend their whole life, in a ashram or a temple somewhere, meditating, trying to achieve enlightenment. Because then what ends up happening is that their soul wakes up and they realize there's all kinds of stuff they wanted to do, and they didn't do it, so they got to come back and do it. But this time they're going to avoid all the religious stuff. Right? And so again, the third way is to do both, to go after your desires and have a technique that will hack into that, so that you can tap into those things. And it ends up working out the same way. The faster you tap into the three ones, the faster you're going to be able to intend your reality and fulfill your desires. The faster you fulfill your true desires, the faster you'll be able to align the three ones. It all works together. So the third way is to do both, which is what I'm attempting to do for myself. So if you want to get a head start on that, go here, qigong.thunderwizard.com, and start practicing Celestial Qigong. Celestial Qigong is going to be one of the requirements to be able to handle the energy of the final technique. So you can go there now and get started with that and start doing Celestial Qigong. I am also going to require that people have gotten their Vedic Mantra. And for that, you want to go here, astrology.thunderwizard.com. Because you have to be doing two things at once energetically. There's two main kinds of energy. You have Lifeforce Energy, which we call Qi, right? Qigong, Qi, Prana, that's Lifeforce Energy. So Qigong, Tai Chi, these kinds of things focus on external life force energy and empowering the aura and empowering the nervous system with life force energy. Second thing is, we've got to awaken the Kundalini, and you've got to get your nervous system able to handle both Kundalini and Qi. So your Vedic mantra is absolutely necessary, and it's the way that you do it. If you want to not have a lot of problems that a lot of people do who go after Kundalini yoga or different kinds of intense Kundalini stuff, and they end up having Kundalini psychosis or Kundalini problems, then go here, because we'll be able to find out in your chart the mantra that you are physically attuned for. One of the main problems with mantra work is that we have people out there, teachers, masters, who don't know anything about Vedic astrology, who are giving out mantra is like candy. And if you got the wrong mantra that's not aligned with you, then you could do yourself a lot of physical harm and have Kundalini psychosis and other things like that. So it's important to have both of those things. So I'm going to be doing this right. And I'm not going to just be handing things out like candy. I'm going to be doing this the right way. I'm going to be creating what I would have wanted for myself if I had just walked into this. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do and how long to do it. So you may have to go back and do things you've already done in a certain way. You know, I don't care. And if that's a problem for you, I'm sorry. But I'm going to, I'm going to teach it in more of a traditional way. And again, it's going to be something that's going to be outside of the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel and outside of the Patreon channel, but will dovetail into both of them. The other thing to do is to go to thunderwizard.com and get started there. Get started as an initiate apprentice. The lowest level of subscription so that you can get access to all of the videos, and then start from the beginning and learn things like the 5 elements and the basics of all the stuff of shamanism. Learn from that. Those are some of the prerequisites. If you don't have those things, then there's a good chance energetically you won't be able to handle the energy. So those are 2 things I recommend that you do first off. And let's see, what else was I going to say? So just keep your eyes peeled. Yeah, I'm feeling a comfortable, grounded ruthlessness about this. Like, I'm not going to be yelling and screaming or pointing fingers at you and telling you how to do this or how to do that. The door swings open both ways. If you want to leave, you can leave. If you want in, you can come in. But I'm going to be more of a stickler for the process. And I will be more focused on helping people achieve the discipline necessary to do this. Because here's the main issue here. The main issue with this technique, the unification of the 3 ones, is that your mind and your energy have to be able to withstand the impact of the energy. And if you can't, nothing will happen when you do it, or, it's fairly user-friendly, so it doesn't really cause a lot of damage, but bottom line is that you got to have your energy body and your nervous system ready. And so that means I have to train you to do that. So that is what we're going to be doing. And so I don't know how many levels it's going to take to get to the final level. I haven't figured that out yet. But it's going to take some time. So if you've got some time and you want to devote some time to putting towards this, then this will be for you. Having said that, everything on my channel, here's the other thing too, is if you're new to the channel, go on to my YouTube channel, my free YouTube channel, and watch the videos. There are so many videos on there that people are not watching, especially stuff from the early days when I was just handing out high level, very high level energy work, and like it was candy. And they have, some of them have almost no views, which means you're not looking for them. So, people who want to accuse me of, wanting to just make money and get rich off of people have not put any time or energy into looking into my channel. You can get everything you need with all the free stuff on there. So what else can I say? Anything else I want to say? If you want to find out all of my books, you can go to michaelwilliamdenny.com. If you want to find my DVDs, all of my DVDs, spanning back like 15 years. You can see me when I was overweight and I had hair. You can go back when I still had hair on my head. I can still grow hair. I just shave it off now. go to Amazon and type in my name, Michael William Denny. I think you have to go to movies and television or something like that, film and movies or something. You go to that and then type my name in, and all of my DVDs should come up. All right, so I don't think there are any more questions. I'll double check here, but let's see. Nope, no more questions. So that's it, my friends. I will talk to you all later. Remember, you are destined to become this person. You are destined to become an ascended master, a celestial immortal, a perfected immortal, a god. You are destined for this, and when you get there, this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be taking everything that you've learned here, and you're going to unify your three ones, and you're going to intend a better reality for those that are still on the earth. And you will be available to them, and they will be able to communicate to you, and you will be able to communicate to them and give them advice and give them help, just as the Ascended Masters do now. If you have any doubts about the Ascended Masters, you can go onto my channel and do the ritual to the elves. I think there's 2 parts to it. And if you want an easy way to do it, especially now we've got this full moon. Full moon is a really good time to connect to the Ascended Masters. Face northwest and just simply open yourself up and ask them, show me what I need to know to evolve. And just sit there, and you will start to get a very subtle message. Maybe it'll be a feeling, maybe it'll be something that you kind of see in your mind, or you'll have an awareness about how to better deal with other people, how to be more compassionate, how to work things out, how to treat yourself better. You know, you'll get a message. It may be very subtle, and but it'll come. So just face northwest, especially on the full moon. The night before the full moon is the best, and ask for wisdom, and they will give it to you. And then you will be one of those. It's not a question of if, you will. If you're a human being, and if you're listening to me, of course you are going to be one of these eventually. It's just a matter of time. Okay, that's all for me. I will see you guys next time.